Hello, do you like watching Naruto? And would you like to know who you would be if you got into anime? Then right now subscribe to the channel, like this video, and the last number of your like will indicate who you would be if you got into anime. For example, I would become Itachi, and you? Write in comments.
Description: Naruto travels to the past, where he is given the chance to change his and his friends' fates. But it will not be an ordinary Naruto, but one who has received the full power of Rikudo Sennin. Will his opponents be able to counter him with anything, or even Nagato's Rinnegan will not be enough? Find out in this fanfic. Part 1. After the war, Naruto changed a lot. For the first few months after graduation, it was difficult to even talk to him. The guy was constantly gloomy and aloof, began to lead a nocturnal lifestyle, moving around the village at night, and resting during the day. After the Fourth Shinobi World War, he received many medals, recognitions, and became a world-famous hero. He was considered a deity, the second coming of the Rikudo Sennin, who reappeared to protect his descendants. Only the blonde himself didn't care much. Yes, now he could afford absolutely anything. Everything that he was deprived of in childhood, and throughout most of his life. Naruto had a huge house in the center of Konoha, a gigantic amount of money, and every girl would love to date him. Only now it was not necessary for the Uzumaki himself. As a child, he did not have parents, and a good life, but he had friends, who constantly spent time with him, talked. Ignoring the general hatred for their friend, they played, some even trained. The best friend for Naruto was his eternal rival and former teammate, Uchiha Sasuke, who soon left the village, and became a Nukenin, a student of the snake Sannin Orochimaru. Faith in his friends made the Uzumaki move forward, overcome difficulties and, generally live. Without them, rays of light in the impenetrable darkness, Naruto had no reason to live. Because at the age of 27, being a world-famous hero, and possessing tremendous power, he could pulverize each of all the Kage with just a glance. The blonde never fulfilled his dream. He never became Hokage. Although not all, most of his friends, died during the Fourth Shinobi World War. The strongest blows that made the guy close himself in for such a long time were the deaths of Hinata, Sakura and Sasuke, who covered the Uzumaki with his body during the fight with Kaguya. With his last breath, he asked the blonde to take his eyes and chakra to protect the world. His last words were, "Farewell, my best friend." Having received the Din-Bang chakra, the eyes of the Sage of the Six Paths himself, and using the natural chakra, the guy became what is called a deity. His hair turned white, and grew back slightly, receiving a massive amount of Satsuki's chakra. Naruto stopped aging as he was in Sage mode during all of this. The organism, during the time when it was being rebuilt due to the colossal amount of foreign cells, and the chakra of other clans, itself began to produce natural chakra instead of its own. The attire changed to a high-collared white cloak of the Six Paths. 9 tamo were depicted on the back. There were 3 of them on 2 parts of the collar. Around his neck, Naruto began to wear a necklace with 6 black tamoi, and on his forehead, a protector with horns, on which the sign of the Uzumaki clan was depicted. Next to him, there is always a black staff, which Higuramo also had. A white sun appeared on the right palm, denoting the Din chakra. On the left, a black crescent, denoting the Dang chakra. Uzumaki began to wear black pants, and shinobi sandals of the same color, somewhat reminiscent of the lower part of the Akatsuki uniform. Having lost many of his friends, Naruto was still able to save the life of his sensei, Kakashi Hatake, and his best friend, who, before his death, endowed the Uzumaki with the power of his eyes. But fate was kind to him, and in the end, Obito was able to bring back to life and forgive some sins. The Uchiha managed to retain the Sharingan's power, but it also remained with Naruto. In fact, he simply cloned his power, because in addition to Obito, Kakashi also had his eyes. Over the years, the Uzumaki constantly visited the graves of his fallen comrades, mostly at night so that no one would disturb him. To his great regret, only at the end of Hinata's life, Naruto realized that he was not indifferent to the girl. He remembered that even Sakura didn't treat him that well. No one suspected that there were those in the world who could resist the Uzumaki. But they were found nonetheless. Members of the Sasuke clan. They descended to Earth in order to collect the chakra of the tailed beasts and grow a new chakra fruit. Otsutsuki had no idea that the opponent would be so strong. With one blow, Naruto split Kinshiki in two, so much so that the man died instantly. Then Momoshiki entered the battle, but his strength was not enough to leave even a scratch on the Uzumaki. Immediately after the death of the second Satsuki, Urashiki attacked Naruto from behind. The guy was going to use his fishing rod to draw out all the chakra from the new sage of the six paths, but the blonde noticed this and pierced his head. Naruto had no idea that this would be a trap. Uzumaki was blinded by a bright light, and when he opened his eyes, he realized that he was not far from the Akatsuki hideout, as he remembered these places well. It was located in the territory of Suna, where the one tail was removed from Gaara. But, why is it still standing here? Naruto asked himself, looking dumbfounded at the lair. Why is it intact? Yes, and the landscape is the same as then. What is going on? Sasori, Deidara. A voice was heard from within. You immediately go after the one-tailed. Pain. We have a problem. Zetsu interrupted the leader, crawling out of the ground. Outside, I felt a huge, powerful chakra, which is many times greater than ours combined. This is a mission block. First you need to deal with the source of this power. He can even lure him over to our side and manipulate him. Who rustled there? Epta. Hidden asked. I'll send him to Moody to my god. Calm down, Hidden, said Sasori. Even though he has a lot of chakras, but there are many times more of us. We'll manage somehow. He exudes the chakra of all tailed ones, Zetsu muttered. It can't be Hagoromo. He's been dead for a long time. Maybe another mom's helper, said the black half to herself. Akatsuki didn't have to go outside. As all the members descended from the fingers of the ghetto statue, an unknown person appeared on one of them with a black staff in his hands, and two ringans in his eye sockets. He sat on one of the toes of the statue, placing one leg under him, and dangling the other. What are you all doing here? Ditbeo. Naruto exclaimed loudly. I killed half of you personally. The second, my friends. Therefore, you must be dead. Am I in the past? What is this psycho doing? Hidden asked Kakazu. I don't know. I'm only interested in money, and judging by his aura, they will give him a large amount. If not, I'll sell him into sexual slavery. If he does not become our ally, then he will make an excellent body. Stronger than all my previous ones. Nagato thought to himself. Kakazu abruptly appeared behind the unknown, and was about to strike, but Naruto simply threw the staff over his shoulder, thereby blocking it. Time passes, but you don't change. The Uzumaki muttered bitterly. I see that the smartest of you have already understood that it makes no sense to attack me. Although, can show it more clearly? Uzumaki used Shinra Tensei. This technique immediately threw Kakazu into a wall, which he pierced through with his own body, losing his heart. Naruto swung himself over him, and with his 6 paths pins, pierced 2 more hearts, slamming the kleptomaniac into the ground. Kakazu tried to free himself, but nothing worked, as these were not simple pieces of iron. "Who are you?" Zetsu asked in bewilderment. "Where did you get such strength from? Why should I respond to someone who is about to die? You can't escape. I know the whole world. Moreover, I can feel you even on the other side of the planet. Therefore, I advise you not to even try." "Ditbeo," Naruto replied. Appearing behind the questioner, all the other Akatsuki jumped back and started attacking him, but each hit was absorbed, which greatly surprised Pain, after which he finally saw his eyes, when the opponent came into the light. Nagato was very surprised when he noticed the Rinnegan. "You don't consider yourself God anymore, Nagato?" Uzumaki asked. "Where?" Unanimously responded with a question to Pain and Zetsu's question. "It doesn't concern you." "Alright though. I'll tell you. This is a parting gift from my best friend. Who cares?" Hidden shouted, starting to move towards the white-haired one. But in just a second, Naruto cut him into pieces, after which he stuck the 6 paths pin in his head. "Who is next?" "I've got things to do, so let's hurry." "Ditbeo, listen. We don't have to fight." Zetsu tried to calm the situation. "We started the battle with the fact that one of the members of the organization attacked you, for which he paid in full. I'll apologize for his behavior, but it's pointless to fight on. We've got things to do, and we're in a hurry, and we don't have the motivation to do it. You have done nothing to us, nor have we done anything to you. So why should we fight among ourselves?" "Didn't do anything?" "Of course, some of you are only victims of circumstance, but the rest, especially you, I can't let go of you. For the most part, I don't care about others. I'm even grateful to one of you for all his actions," the Uzumaki said calmly. Meaning Itachi. "Enough talk. You either join us or die. You have no other options," Pain said insinuatingly. "Do not think that having defeated only Hidden and Kakazu, you will be able to oppose something to the rest. I'll give you 10 seconds to think." "You're right, Nagato. I thought we were friends, and you say that. But I fulfilled your main desire." Toby approached the lair, and already from afar noticed the changes. Going inside, he froze. All members of the organization lay on the ground, and among the bodies stood a man in a white cloak and with a black staff. He turned to see the newcomer. "There's no need for a mask. Obito. Long time no see. Where?" "It doesn't matter." The Uzumaki waved his hand. "Just take off your mask, or I'll have to take it off your corpse. You understand that I personally destroyed all the members of Akatsuki, and you alone do not have a chance. I know the secret of your technique, and I can cancel it at any time. Even the cells of Hashirama Senju will not help you stay alive. I think you know what Higuramo Tsutsuki looked like, and what kind of staff I'm holding. Madara must have told you." Obito, without answering, folded several seals, after which all the Akatsuki that lay on the floor turned out to be fakes. Naruto recalled that they had done something similar once before, when they had to delay the Konoha squads in order to extract Shukaku from Gaara. Therefore, this outcome did not surprise him much. The Uchiha then made a few more seals, and all the Akatsuki appeared in front of the Uzumaki, except for Itachi. "Of course, I don't care, but where did you lose another one, Ditbeo?" Naruto asked. "None of your business." Obito replied rudely. Then all the Nukenin began to attack the Uzumaki indiscriminately. Hidden was the first to leave the battle, losing his head. The second was Sasori, as Naruto knew his weak spot. Deidara started throwing his bombs at the enemy, but he neutralized them with lightning release. Fourth, Kakazu rushed into the fight, and he had one of Pain's bodies in the wings, which absorbed the techniques. The white-haired man did not stand on ceremony, so he created a couple of Gautams. The Gekido tried to absorb them, but failed, and Nagato lost control of it. When Uzumaki got tired of all this fuss, he decided to destroy Akatsuki the same way Pain destroyed Konoha in his time. Rising into the air, Naruto used the Shinra Tensei on a huge area. To prevent the explosion from hurting Itachi, the blonde moved him to another dimension. The divine technique pulverized all members of the organization, except for Obito and Pain's two bodies, Tendo and Jigakudo. They were shocked that one technique had killed all of their comrades. Nagato understood that this was an unusual Shinra Tensei, since the realm of technology was dark. And besides the fact that this technique destroyed a huge area, all the trees that escaped it withered. How is this possible? Obito asked Pain. You think I know? He is clearly not human. I didn't think I'd ever say this, but we don't stand a chance against him. You need to retreat. My plan. The Uchiha gritted through his teeth. He stayed fine as he used Kamui and made himself intangible. After touching the Pains, they moved to the village of Rain. However, Naruto followed them. Due to the fact that the Uchiha had to be in Kamui most of the time, he needs to recharge. This is exactly what the Uzumaki was waiting for. Appearing in the middle of the street, he used a huge Chibaku Tensei. As a result, in just a minute, the Rain village turned to dust, and with it Obito, Kanon, Nagato, and the remaining two bodies of Pain. Realizing that his technique would clearly be noticed by the other villages, Naruto quickly made his escape, and appeared in the Valley of the End, where he freed Itachi with Kamui's help. It took the Uchiha over 2 hours to recover, after which he learned that Akatsuki no longer existed. Why did you do that? You just changed the timeline, Naruto, Itachi asked after hearing the story of the surprise attacker. I had no choice. Obito didn't want to listen to me. He was only fixated on his goal. But if that bothers you, I can return everything to the way it was before I came at this time. True. I have to ask you a counter question. Do you want to revive your clan? At the same time, I will revive mine. What? How do you imagine it? The only Uchiha left was me and Sasuke. Of course, we won't be able to create purbloods again. Blood mixed with other clans will not give it. But it will be the Uchiha. So, do you agree? Itachi thought about it. On the one hand, it was extremely dangerous, since he was considered a nukenin, and was known to the whole world as the killer of his clan. But on the other, very well, he finally said, I agree. But you must return them so as not to violate the timeline in this world. I understand that leaving everything like this is very dangerous. I will bring them back to life, but the memories of you will be practically erased. Akatsuki will think that you died on one of the missions. It would be ideal. I'm glad we're partners now. Uzumaki held out his hand. Only you should change your cloak. It won't be very nice if someone from the organization sees you in it. Do you agree? Ditbeo? Absolutely. The Uchiha shook Naruto's hand, and then remembered something. Wait, don't you need to go back to your world? Nothing keeps me there. And the residents? Well, let them think that he died. Repelling the attack of Satsuki. Not a bad option. So where do we go first, partner? To one of Orochimaru's lairs. It is necessary to tell Sasuke the whole truth about you, and ask him to help us. But before we go, we should buy a disguise. Wouldn't the second sage of the 6 paths walk around the world dressed like that? What is the nearest village? Konoha. Well, No, we can't go there. The second one, I just have to return after training with Jiraiya-sensei, and your appearance there will cause an unprecedented resonance. Hitherto unthinkable. Well, then let's go to some ordinary nearby village. I'll take us there with Kamui's help. Itachi took off his cloak and forehead protector and burned them to the ground with the help of fire release. Naruto quickly transported them to a nearby simple village. Despite the fact that the guys needed a lot of things, they only bought ordinary black raincoats and 2 masks, a fox and a hare. Previously, Uzumaki left the Sage of the Six Paths mode, so as not to shock the inhabitants with his appearance. The partners went to Orochimaru's lair, where Sasuke should be now. Part 2. Several days have passed since the events of the last chapter. Itachi and Naruto were in no hurry, because according to the latter's recollections, Orochimaru had recently moved to this lair, which means there is time left. During their journey, a dialogue began between the guys. Naruto, you said you were going to restore our clans. But where? Itachi, have you heard anything about Uzushio? Very little. It seems like the Uzumaki clan went from there, which was famous for its abilities in Fuinjutsu all over the world. Your mother, Kushina Uzumaki, was considered one of the best in her time, am I right? Absolutely. So, I'm planning to restore the village hidden in the whirlpools, but in order to accomplish this, we need to do a lot of things. So I came up with some plan. Ditbeo. Listen carefully. The partners did not stop their step, but slowed it down even more. The first step is to get your brother back from Orochimaru's clutches. I hope Sasuke will be prudent and listen to the truth. Next, we will head to Konoha. Naruto looked inquiringly at Itachi, expecting the Uchiha to interrupt him, but he walked in silence, absorbing the information. Uzumaki was amazed at his character as a calm, mature, reasonable and insightful person, glad you're listening without interrupting. So, I will introduce myself as Madama Kurogiri, an architect from the land of tea. You don't have to hide anything about yourself. As soon as the guards notice you, most likely, no, the alarm will definitely rise, and all the shinobi that will be in Konoha at that moment will run to the main gate, because it's not every day that you meet 2 Nuknins on the threshold of your village, who, without hiding anything, calmly walk towards the Hokage residence. Of course, we will be attacked, or, even worse, they will try to rescue me from captivity. But we'll be very lucky if Granny Tsunade comes to fight herself. Then it will be much easier to persuade her to a dialogue. In my world, after the war, I dug through the ANBU archives, where I found your file. Apparently, it should be here as well. Thank you for explaining. Itachi thanked Comrade succinctly, the reason for such a dangerous act. But why do we need a Hokage? Konoha has contracts with builders and architects in different countries. I hope Granny will listen to her beloved Naruto. Will you reveal yourself? Won't it cause time loops or timeline deviations if Naruto here sees you? No, I won't. It's early yet. And yes, it will depend on the situation. Itachi, your task is to trust me. I am definitely confident in my abilities in this regard. Fine. What do we do after we sign the contract? Let's look for the surviving members of the Uzumaki clan and rebuild Uzashigakure. By the beginning of the war we will have to finish. Now I'm asking you to stop. Without further ado, Itachi complied with his friend's request, which activated the Rikudo Sennin mode. Naruto walked up to the Uchiha, touched his forehead, and started pouring his chakra into him. What? What are you doing? I share my power with you. You're sick, terminally ill, and I can't let the hero I admire die. No. I can't let a friend die. These words are firmly ingrained in the soul of the uchiha. Itachi had no idea that Naruto really thought so. This was a kind of signal for him, and it was at this moment, when Naruto, already barely on his feet due to the energy consumption of the technique, pours his power, gives it away for free, one might say, to the first person he meets. The genius of the Uchiha clan was finally able to, for the first time since Carnage, to trust someone. In thought, the guy did not notice how Naruto, giving his last strength, falls to the ground. Itachi barely had time to pick him up. The treatment is over, Naruto said before fainting. Uzumaki woke up at night. While he was sleeping, Itachi managed to build a fire, and was now sitting quietly by the fire, humming something under his breath. Oh, are you awake? Naruto had a chance to see a rare phenomenon, Uchiha's smile. Thanks for the healing. Yes, not at all. Stupidly scratched the back of his head, white-haired. Why did you faint? Natural chakra is endless. This technique does not take away chakra, but the person's own powers. My stock was full. Clear. Well, friend, it's time to go. Sasuke must have been waiting. You still have to go to the lair and go. Isn't it better to rest? Kamui recovered. Now I'm able to use it. Put out the flames. We're going to rescue your brother. The hideout in the middle of the desert was just the Orochimaru style. Naruto and Itachi appeared right at the entrance. I sense the presence of 3 other people's chakra. Orochimaru, Kabuto and Sasuke. They are all in the shelter, Naruto said, being an excellent sensor, and Jinchuuriki of all tailed ones. You take on Kabuto. I will fight against Orochimaru. Fine. The couple quickly rushed inside. On the way, they even managed to appreciate the beauty of the lair. Beautiful walls decorated with snake ornaments, and castle-style torches, gave the place a special charm. Naruto flashed the Rinnegan around. Itachi, on the other hand, did the same, only with the Mankya Sharingan. The blonde had not yet entered Six Paths Sage mode. And now the guys were finally able to find a suitable door. Itachi was only a few centimeters away from meeting his brother. And even at that moment, Orochimaru managed to give a shit, appearing along with Kabuto. Konoha's ANBU? Have they really come yet? Kabuto made an erroneous guess. Where such confidence? Uzumaki's steely voice pierced the air. I have nothing to do with the ANBU. Naruto decided the time had come. Quickly activating Rikudo mode, he swung his staff. Sage mode of the 6 paths? Orochimaru asked in bewilderment. And even the Rinnegan? Hagoromo Otsutsuki has been dead for a long time. Then who are you? Without answering, Naruto removed his mask. Suddenly, genuine shock appeared on the faces of Kabuto and Orochimaru. That can't be. I killed you during the Battle of the 3 Sannin. Kabuto shouted. Because of this, a rustling sound was heard from the room, as if someone was turning over on the bed. Itachi, meanwhile, took advantage of the moment to attack Kabuto, and attacked him with a Mankyou immediately. Amaterasu, what? But the bespectacled man was not surprised further by the black flame that flew into him at an enormous speed. Of course, there was no way to dodge. Amaterasu went straight to Kabuto. Orochimaru watched his opponents during this fun. Mankya Sharingan. Itachi Uchiha. Left Akatsuki and joined Naruto? Hissed the Sannin. What did he pour into your ears? I want to ask you the same about Sasuke. There was a slight poof sound. The Kabuto clone dispelled. Itachi and Naruto were ready for it. Orochimaru, meanwhile, began to attack. He chose a brunette as a victim. The snakes flew out of the hands of the Sannin, trying to get the Uchiha, but he, with ease, beat off all these unfortunate attempts. True, after about 15 minutes, Itachi was already running out of breath due to the fact that he had to swing the katana 360 degrees. "Hey Naruto," Itachi said as he slashed another slimy creature. "Can you help?" "Yes, you seem to be doing well yourself." The Uzumaki smiled. The blonde, meanwhile, was looking for Kakashi's chakra. This guy could screw up absolutely everything, absolutely everywhere and absolutely when. Of course, Naruto could wipe this lair from the face of the earth with one technique, but then Sasuke would also suffer. The second Rikudo also wanted to have some fun. But Kabuto's chakra still didn't manifest, so Naruto even managed to get bored watching Itachi and Orochimaru fight. Sannin barely stopped his opponent's attacks, no matter what anyone said, but in Kenjutsu Uchiha, was one of the best. Naruto, meanwhile, was finally able to find Kabuto's chakra. Quickly telling Itachi about this, he went into battle against Orochimaru, as the Uchiha rushed after Kakashi. "Oh, I could barely hold back his attacks, so also yours will have to." The Sannin complained playfully, clearly underestimating Naruto's strength. "Condolences to you." The staff split in two, revealing the 6 paths to Orochimaru bow, while the truth-seeking balls, or Godaudamas, were already heading towards the serpentine Sannin. Orochimaru immediately guessed that he would not be able to fight them off, so he decided to simply dodge. Left, right, left. It didn't last long as Naruto was behind the Sannin. All the same, this shinobi had no equal in speed. Naruto created a small cross at the neck with boss prongs. "Well, will you surrender yourself, or should I take your head off, Ditbeo?" But Sasuke did not give an answer to the brunette. In truth, the Uchiha woke up literally 5 minutes ago, and all this time he was listening to what was happening in the corridor. Nukenin did not immediately realize that Naruto was alive, and when he realized this, he refused to accept. The death of his only friend was one of the reasons Sasuke left. The guy did not know that Kabuto was the direct killer of his best friend and rival, and all this time he thought, starting from the words of Orochimaru, that Uzumaki died at the hands of Tsunade. When Sasuke finally confirmed his judgment, by listening carefully to what was going on outside, he left the room. A very eccentric and incomprehensible picture appeared before his eyes. Naruto prepared to behead Orochimaru. Yes, and he looked somehow different. "And Naruto? Is that you?" Still not believing his eyes, whispered Sasuke. "But why are you alive?" "Orochimaru said that Tsunade killed you." "What?" "Uzumaki has already decided to become the local himself." "No. Firstly, I did not die, and secondly, it was not Tsunade who tried to kill me, but Kabuto." "Ditbeo, this is true?" asked Uchiha with steel in his voice already at Orochimaru. "Answer me, bitch." Sasuke-kun, the last one hissed. "I should have taken you." "Well, you allow me to kill him?" Naruto asked, grinning. "Please." In an instant, the Uzumaki decapitated one of the 3 legendary Sannin of Konoha. Then, after coming out of sage mode, he looked at Sasuke with a new look. Naruto was given the chance to live through all the hardships with his best friend, and the second Rikudo didn't want to miss it. Just then, Itachi returned. "I'm done, Naruto, now." The Uchiha's eyes fell on his brother, and met with a look of complete hatred and contempt. "Hello Sasuke, it's been about 2 hours." Naruto, feeling his passion seething, quickly transported the trio with Kamui's help to the spot where the camp had been set up. There he left the 2 brothers, deciding that they themselves would settle their problems without his help. so Uzumaki went to meditate. On his way back, he heard laughter. Quickening his pace, Naruto noticed the two brothers chatting quietly and laughing intermittently. In the soul of the second Rikudo, it was as if a stone had fallen from the soul, and relaxing, he approached them. "I see you reconciled?" Smiling in all 32 teeth, Naruto said, thereby attracting attention to himself. "If what Itachi told me is true, then I'm proud of my brother," Sasuke said proudly, hugging his only relative. "By the way, Naruto, how did you end up alive? And what was that power? Where did you get the Rinnegan from? Why did your hair turn white?" Itachi knew from the look that the blonde had finally decided to become the Naruto here. "I will definitely let you in on everything that happened to me, but not now, but during the journey." "Did Itachi let you in on our plan?" "Yes. And I will say right away that I agree. I have a lot to make up for with my brother and you." "I am glad to hear it. Sasuke, Itachi, my Kamui needs to be restored, so transferring us to Konoha will not work right away. You have to go some distance. So I propose to move forward. The path there is not close." The guys got up. Naruto suddenly stopped as if contemplating something. The blonde looked strangely at Sasuke, and suddenly touched his friend's chest with his hand. She had a fox mask on. "You will need it while we go to Konoha. Then you can shoot." "Ditbeo." "Fine." Sasuke in the cloak and Naruto mask was a copy of his older brother, only the hairstyles did not match. Naruto grinned, put on his cloak, and the guys moved out. "How strong have you become, Naruto?" Sasuke thought to himself, "I don't think I can catch up with you now, but I'll try." Several days have passed. During the journey, every time the trio went to some village to rest or replenish supplies, they were looked at strangely. Masks used by Konoha's ANBU. Raincoats? Suspicious individuals. A couple of times, shinobi from other villages even tried to run into a fight, but the Sharingan in their eye sockets stopped them. Naruto, however, over the past time, has learned to deactivate the Rinnegan, so as not to shock the inhabitants of the planet. Moreover, the answer turned out to be painfully simple, just directing a little more natural chakra into the eyes. Sasuke agreed to train with his brother in an attempt to awaken his Mankia. Itachi was still stronger than the younger Uchiha, but that was only for now. Of course, both were considered the geniuses of their clan, but the elder had not developed for a long time. Naruto watched them, and occasionally gave advice to Itachi and Sasuke. And if the first one accepted them with humility, understanding the strength of a friend, the second was tormented by pride and envy, not allowing him to listen to the right things. The younger Uchiha couldn't accept Naruto's power. Speaking of Naruto, he told his story to Sasuke from beginning to end, omitting only that his friend was from another time. In fact, it was the same Naruto, only matured. Uzumaki explained the reason for changing the color of his hair. That, allegedly, he met some wise man with a goatee, when Kabuto pierced him and, after hearing another nonsense from him, returned to this world just recently. He pulled Itachi out of the clutches of Akatsuki, and then did the same with Sasuke, only from the hands of Orochimaru. Silent only about the fact that his friend is from another time. In fact, it was the same Naruto, only matured. Uzumaki explained the reason for changing the color of his hair. That, allegedly, he met some wise man with a goatee, when Kabuto pierced him and, after hearing another nonsense from him, returned to this world just recently. He pulled Itachi out of the clutches of Akatsuki, and then did the same with Sasuke, only from the hands of Orochimaru. Silent only about the fact that his friend is from another time. In fact, it was the same Naruto, only matured. Uzumaki explained the reason for changing the color of his hair. That, allegedly, he met some wise man with a goatee, when Kabuto pierced him and, after hearing another nonsense from him, returned to this world just recently. He pulled Itachi out of the clutches of Akatsuki, and then did the same with Sasuke, only from the hands of Orochimaru. That's all, said Uzumaki with a stupid smile. I missed a lot, so I'll have to catch up. By the way, good news. Kamui recovered again. We can jump. He took the two brothers by the shoulders, and saying something like it'll be fun, he disappeared into the funnel-shaped hole. The road was deserted. The trio appeared near the gate. Konoha, as always, was beautiful. The rock with the heads of the village was truncated with 5 statues. Naruto had already swallowed his saliva, imagining how he would gobble up the ramen in Ichiraku Ramen. God or not, but such yummy on schedule, so everyone remembers the plan. Yes, the Uchihas answered in unison, taking off their masks. We go in, we say who we are, to whom we need. We conclude an agreement, we eat at Ichiraku Ramen, and without falling into the eyes of Sakura-chan, together with the builders we advance to Azushio, just in case. Naruto repeated it and, having received affirmative nodding, smiling carnivorously, he added, now the fun will begin, gentlemen, Naruto and Rinnegan. Part 3. The trio approached the central gate of Konoha. Naruto fully enjoyed her pre-war greatness, smiled and breathed in the air of his native place. But there was no time to rest. It was necessary to fulfill the task set by itself. Naruto immediately activated 6 Paths Sage Mode. Itachi and Sasuke, a little worried before, saw his confidence in the task and, as if on command, pulled themselves up, smiled and activated the Sharingan. The trio went inside. Izumo and Katsu, the guards at the central gate, tensed up sharply. Fear and shock from what they saw immediately appeared in their bored eyes. Right before their eyes, the deceased Uzumaki Naruto appeared, and even accompanied by 2 Nuknins, Sasuke and Itachi Uchiha. And what was no less amazing, these two did not try to bite each other. Izumo, Katsu whispered to his partner, call everyone here. Including Hokage-sama, already done. The guys were also struck by the appearance of Naruto, in particular his eyes. Of course, the guards have never seen the Rinnegan, but they have heard of it. According to legend, these eyes were the strongest of the 3 legendary jutsu: Byakugan, Sharingan, and Rinnegan. Shinobi of Konoha were not long in coming. Hearing about the unexpected guests, Tsunade Senju herself, the princess of her clan, and part-time 5th Hokage, arrived at the place one of the first. An alarm was raised throughout the village. I can't believe my eyes, the woman said. Is that you, Naruto? Hey Granny Tsunade. The Uzumaki waved to both 6 Paths. Is that really you? Yeah. Naruto could only afford to relax in her presence, and stop pumping his ki. And look who's with me. I see. 2 Nuknins, the reprisals against which the whole village craves. What do you two want here? The silence in response pissed off Tsunade a little. You see, Granny, Naruto scratched his head awkwardly. I know something. Look into the ANBU archives, and find case number 400 there. That should be enough to justify Itachi Uchiha for leaving the Akatsuki organization. And I vouch for Sasuke entirely, so I don't advise you to escalate the situation. The blonde flashed the Rinnegan. You know who first awakened these eyes. It was only now that Senju looked at Naruto completely. Bright white hair, the same color attire, a forehead protector with the sign of the Uzumaki clan, Shikujo divided into Bo, Gadadami. The guy looked exactly like the Sage of Six Paths from the legends. What happened to you? Long story. But I'm ready to tell you, if you agree to listen to me. Uzumaki's tone became steel again. Please. By that time, half of Konoha had already gathered around the speakers. Jnin tensed up. Tsunade thought about it. Well, finally came the answer. Let's follow me. And take these two too. We are in for a serious conversation. When the group reached the Hokage residence, Naruto was able to breathe a sigh of relief. Never before had he caught so many looks on himself, from contempt to admiration. Sitting at her desk, Tsunade folded her hands, placing them in front of her, and resting her chin. The room immediately turned out to be a dozen ANBU fighters, one of whom Senju, sent for the necessary business. Naruto sat across from her, and deactivated Sage Mode. Itachi and Sasuke stood on their sides. Ask whatever you want. Waiting the powerful blow of the Slug Princess, didn't let him finish. Naruto slammed into the wall. Another followed, and another, and another. The Uchihas had already taken up the katana, and managed to get ahead of the ANBUs, although they noticed how. Between the beatings, the Uzumaki waved his hand, allegedly asking them to remove their weapons. So the brothers did, humbly waiting for the end. Tsunade at this time, with tears in her eyes, beat the white-haired man, saying what a cretin he was, that he had left her, Jiraiya, Sakura and the others. Based on this, Uzumaki realized that in this world he was smarter, calmer and more mature. Having finally finished pouring out her soul, Princess Senju began to treat the guy's physiognomy that had improved. True, there was no need for this. 9 Bijo were already engaged in healing. Speaking of which, by the way, Naruto changed everyone a lot. What is shukaku that Kurama now treated people with more respect, more kindness? As a result of this, the human form embedded in their chakra by Higuramo himself began to manifest. Now all the tailed ones could easily become people at will, as well as leave the Uzumaki. Actually, the beasts were free to leave their Jinchuuriki without harm to the latter, but a colossal connection formed between them. The 10 beings began to seriously consider themselves friends, even family. But a colossal bond formed between them. The 10 beings began to seriously consider themselves friends, even family. But a colossal bond formed between them. The 10 beings began to seriously consider themselves friends, even family. In the meantime, Naruto finally healed, and sat back down in his chair. Tsunade, already all red from a particular overexcitement, sat down opposite him. What did you want to talk about, Naruto? The woman asked, sniffling noisily. Just at that time, that ANBU showed up with a case in hand. Picking it up, Tsunade skimmed through the pages. She then furtively glanced at the older Uchiha, who showed absolutely no emotion. If everything written here is true, which I have no doubt about, then Konoha owes you at least unlimited respect, and at least we owe you compensation. I don't need anything from you, Hokage-sama, Itachi said in a courageous voice, and if you really want to thank me and apologize, then forgive my brother, and also listen to Naruto. I'll think about Sasuke, but I'm glad to hear about Naruto. Senju propped her chin on her hands and, batting her eyelashes, began to listen to Naruto. Granny Tsunade, I'm going to revive the Uzumaki and Uchiha clans. At these words, all those present, except those who knew, opened their mouths. Naruto paused theatrically, and I'm going to do it in Uzashigakure. It's destroyed, Naruto, Tsunade said with a little regret, but you can revive them in Konoha. No. I'm going to do it in Azashio. But to turn my dream into reality, I need List's help. I propose to conclude an agreement on cooperation between our villages. I agree, Sinead replied without hesitation. I think I should address you as a Kage now. Uzumaki-sama, you can call me whatever you like. Now let's sign the treaty. Uzumaki was impatient to finally rebuild his historical homeland. So he answered so rudely. The Hokage was about to get the necessary papers, when there was a knock on the door. Without waiting for permission, she opened. Sakura, leafing through some documents, went inside. Sinead-sama. Here. The girl raised her eyes. Oh. Did I interfere? No. Sakura-chan. Come in. Naruto answered for the Hokage, smiled and turned around. I'm sorry. At first, the pink-haired woman didn't understand why she knew that face so well. Naruto, the white-haired man, smiled with all 32 teeth, and quietly signaled to Sasuke. He prepared to parry Haruno's blow. In fact, he didn't have to wait long. Sakura flew at Naruto with a scream, not expecting her blow to be stopped by the hand of the person to the left of the target. Irenin glanced at the buzzkiller. Sasuke? Naruto's hearing was sharply cut through. Sakura didn't call Uchiha Sasuke-kun. Apparently, at this time, she did not dry for him so much. Although later he was convinced that the girl did not dry out at all for anyone. She tried angrily to pull her hand out of Sasuke's grip. Let me go, you. Naruto didn't let her finish. He himself separated the brunette's hand from the pink-haired one. Enough, Sakura-chan. I already got it from Sinead. I don't want to from you anymore. The girl looked angrily at her old friend. Suddenly her face changed dramatically. What's wrong with your eyes? And what about the hair? It turned out that Naruto had unknowingly activated the Rinnegan. Realizing this, he immediately turned it off. Yes, a dying gift from a comrade. Uzumaki muttered quietly, sitting back. Well, are we signing? Yes. Ah, and Sinead, I'd like to take the builders to the village. Well, of course, if you're not going to rebuild everything with your hands. What to rebuild? Haruno asked. I am now the Uzumaki, head of the village hidden in the whirlpools. Sasuke and Itachi help me. Itachi? Irenin asked, looking at the Uchiha, and immediately took out a kunai. It's all right, Sakura. Sinead reassured her. Itachi is our friend. The older Uchiha tilted his head slightly. Sasuke, is this the girl you're crazy about? The Dungar immediately dragged him around. Naruto, however, was finally convinced that he was in a madhouse. So, let's leave love problems for later. Uzumaki leaned over the paper and, having read it completely, signed it. Thanks, Sinead. I'm glad that our villages will now cooperate. Me too. And now you're telling me everything that happened to you. Particularly after that battle. Grandma. Well, I actually wanted to have a bite to eat with ramen. Naruto tried to get rid of the dialogue, but it didn't work out. What granny am I to you? Fifth broke the table with his hand. Tell, Naruto. Although outwardly he didn't show his appearance, but internally he was all crumpled up, which did not escape the glances of the tailed ones. Oh, our baby was scared of the old woman. Shukaku teased him. When the Kyuubi sees, it will blow your head off. Shut up, Naruto demanded. By the way, where is she? Asleep. Son Goku joined the conversation. You haven't been down to her for so long. Kurama is already bored. So what? Sinead asked. I'm waiting. Answer. The blonde, sighing and realizing that he could not get away, began the story. That's it. So you met with the Rikudo Sannin himself, and he taught you? Sinead muttered thoughtfully after hearing that. Naruto successfully came up with the story he was going to tell everyone. So you're doing his will now? Sakura asked. I used to do it while I was under supervision. Uzumaki got out. But now he doesn't. To be honest, Uzumaki, one might say, really mastered almost all the techniques of Higuramu Otsutsuki. Of course, he put more emphasis on the mystic palm techniques, and the 6 paths. Thus, the Deva path became his favorite, although he rarely used it. Naruto looked around again. By then, the ANBU had already left the office, leaving the Hokage and Sakura alone with the new rivals. The blonde concluded that there were no more questions, so he got up and headed for the exit. The Uchiha followed him. And already at the door, he, without turning around, said, Granny Tsunade, Sakura-chan, can we eat some ramen? Yeah, let's go, Senju answered, moving away from the shock, and went after Naruto. Sakura followed the same path. Ramen Ichiraku was Naruto's favorite place rightfully. Of course, now the boy has turned into a guy, grew up, matured. His trained body was immediately evident, but one thing remained unchanged, his love for ramen. At the sight of him, Uzumaki went crazy, so on the way he practically did not pay attention to the curious looks of the inhabitants, stubbornly looking at one point, and only occasionally answering Tsunade's questions. Listen, can we make you protectors of the village? Asked the princess. Naruto stopped, looked at her and smiled. Well, I already have it. What cannot be said about my companions? You don't mind? The Uchihas shook their heads in agreement. Well, fine. And now Ramen, old man Tucci, and his daughter Aim, were very surprised when they met Naruto. They had long considered him dead, like all the Konoha people. The owners of the ramen shop were already going to fill up with questions, but noticing the tired look of a regular customer, and the angry Hokage, they immediately stopped. Hokage-sama, hello. And, Naruto? You are alive? Hello, old man Tucci, Aim-chan. The white-haired man waved his hand. Yes, there is a long story. I'll have 36 servings of miso ramen. Why, yes. Hokage-sama? Sakura-san? And Itachi? Sasuke? Are you here too? Yes. The Dungar calmly sat down with his brother. Can I have a portion of the same that Naruto took? Me too, Itachi asked. The girls preferred regular ramen. Okay, it will be done. After a couple of hours, the food was over. Sakura, Tsunade, and Sasuke, after finishing their portions, watched in amazement as the Uzumaki devoured one by one at the speed of sound. With each new one, their eyes were rounded more and more. Naruto didn't really care when the guy ate. No, he ate right, he didn't care much. After eating, he leaned back and sighed. Phew, I finally ate some ramen, and only Itachi knew the true reason for such a number. The tailed beasts that had been hiding their chakra for a long time required a colossal amount of food, so the guy ordered 4 servings each. By devouring them, he himself was fed, and fed his friends. Just then, one of the ANBU ran into the cafe. Tsunade-sama, an urgent message from Sand. The cage has been kidnapped. They ask for help. What? Everyone roared, except for Uzumaki and Itachi, for they knew perfectly well both the reason and the kidnappers. Owl, alert Guy and Kakashi's team immediately. They will go to the rescue, ordered the 5th. Yes. Shinobi disappeared, leaving behind only clouds of dust. Sakura and Tsunade quickly got up and headed towards the main gate. Naruto same remained sit on place under bewildered glances. Uchiha, you won't go? Senju asked. I need to rebuild the village. You can handle it yourself. Think for yourself, fool. Haruno hit her friend on the back of the head. If you help the Sand, Then they can also conclude an alliance with you, and send their builders. So you can rebuild your home much faster, and get guarantees from 2 great villages. The blonde considered. On the one hand, he should have started already. But on the other, oh, okay, I agree. The 5 left the ramen shop, leaving the fee. Naruto decided for himself that he would not provide strong help, since it was a different world, he wanted to look at the changes in his friends in strength. At most, he will try to bring Gaara back to life, which most likely will not be necessary, since Kamui will transfer them directly to the village much faster than a 3-day journey. The guy also decided that he wanted to lure one of the Akatsuki to his side, and offer him amnesty in exchange for membership in the ranks of Uzumaki Shinobi, so Naruto was not going to carry out strong active actions. However, if necessary, he does not mind sweating. In reflection, the 5 reached the gate. A team of taijutsu masters was already waiting for them. Naruto? Sasuke? Itachi? All exclaimed with one voice. Long story. Naruto waved him off, still deciding not to lose Kamui. I'll tell you on the way. We need to hurry. Who knows what these scum can do to Gaara? How do you know who the Kazekage is? Tsunade asked incredulously. Naruto realized that he was stupid, and was already trying to get out, when Itachi came to the rescue. Tsunade-sama, I told him. After all, he used to be a double agent. Understood. The princess turned to the others. Kakashi, Naruto and Sasuke will return to Team 7 for the time being. Then they will go about their business. These 3 have one task. Understood. The son of the White Fang Leaf nodded satisfactorily, with a look demanding Naruto tell him everything. What is our task? Help Sand get out of the clutches of the Akatsuki Kazekage. Everyone, don't delay. Get to work. I'm glad to be serving by your side again. Dog. Itachi held out his hand. Mutually, Raven, shaking it. Hatake reacted. Well, then they ran. Commentary on Naruto and the Rinnegan. Part 3. Damn, you guys are amazing. Thanks for the crazy asset under the 2nd chapter. 13 waitings. And even a day has not passed. Naruto and Rinnegan. Part 4. The Shinobi of the Hidden Leaf covered the distance in a little less than 3 days. Tsunagakure's majestic gaze opened before their eyes. Huge walls towered over the desert, forming a monolithic, strong defense of the village. The only way to get inside was through a passage in the middle. Itachi and Sasuke kept stealing glances at Naruto. Not only did he not use Kamui, he was also silent for almost the entire journey, occasionally exchanging words with Kakashi. The group was met by the Kazecage's sister, Temari no Sabaku. How long have you? Stop. Are you Naruto? Also the Uchiha brothers? There is a rather long story. Temari. Uzumaki hugged his old girlfriend, and there is no time for her story at all. Fine. I see Itachi Uchiha has arrived with you. A Nukenin and a former member of Akatsuki, as I understand it. Yes. He will bring you up to date. Then I ask for me. Sakura. If I'm not mistaken, we're an Irianen, right? Yes. Kankuro. The girl could hardly restrain herself. He chased those 2. One of my brothers is now dying. The second is kidnapped. Temari wiped her tears, throwing her head up, and squeezed out a smile. So what for a day like this? Don't worry, girlfriend. I'll figure it out. Haruno friendly slapped the girl on the shoulder. Show me where he lies. May I say? The older Uchiha held out his hand. Because I was a double agent behind enemy lines, I know where they are now. I propose to leave Sakura here, accompanied by a couple of our ninjas, and we ourselves go there. Don't trust our forces? Temari asked as she lightly pushed Itachi in the side. Absolutely. 2. Most likely Sasori and Deidara entered the village, and were able to defeat the Kazekage. The brunette did not fully share the girl's joke. I can't imagine what could happen with you and our medic, so I would prefer to leave someone with her. Since Itachi saw through his former organization, and knew its members, Tsunade appointed him as mission commander, along with Kakashi. His word was law. Temari puffed out her cheeks, and a rather interesting picture appeared to the smiling Naruto. A slight spark of distrust ran between them, along with interest in each other. Brother, I can stay. Sasuke offered his candidacy. I'm still one of the strongest kenjutsu masters of my time, as well as a former student of Orochimaru. Not even a fly will fly past me. Well, the elder Uchiha turned his head. But we are losing a fighter. We should come up with a replacement for him. I can help with this. An old woman appeared out of nowhere next to Temari. The Konoha shinobi looked at her strangely. What about Kankuro? He'll be all right. I took care of it. And since Tsunade's student will remain here. At these words, the woman looked coldly at Sakura and said cloyingly, then I have no doubt that your brother will survive. What happened next took everyone by surprise. Grandma Chi, as she was called in the Sand Village, suddenly attacked Kakashi with anger, shouting something about his father that was not the most flattering remarks. The man did not want to harm the respected elder, so he simply dodged quite fast blows. Chi-sama, calm down. Temari took her hand. This is not the white fang of the leaf, but his son, Kakashi Hatake. Son? The old woman asked in surprise, clapping her eyes. Kakashi waved his hand, smiling benignly in his eye. It was a joke. She suddenly laughed, and immediately became serious. If this brunette is telling the truth, then I should all the more go, since my grandson, Sasori no Akasuna, is involved. He is a great puppeteer and shinobi. Be careful with him. Once everything is decided, then we need to go. Guy exclaimed, which scared Neji and Tenten standing nearby. Long live the power of Booth. Yes, Gai-sensei, echoed his favorite student, Rock Lee. This couple in green tights has always seemed strange to the inhabitants of Konoha, and now they have not distinguished themselves. They immediately rushed in the footsteps of Akatsuki, which had not yet been covered with sand. Do you even know where to go? Asked skeptically Ten-Ten, a master of fuinjutsu and melee weapons. I know, Itachi replied. Follow me, we'll catch up with you as soon as we're sure of Kanker's health. Sakura promised. The shinobi immediately ran after the crazy couple, leaving the bewildered Sakura, Sasuke, and Temari to deal with the rest. The journey didn't take long. All thanks to Itachi, who urged the shinobi to speed up, because he knew what the extraction of Bijua could turn out to be for the Jinchuuriki. Of all, Naruto and, perhaps, Kakashi were not worried. The first, because he already knew the spoilers for the task, and the second simply never showed his feelings. Hey, Itachi, Uzumaki called out to his friend, as he caught up with him. Have a minute? Ask what you want. I liked Temari. I see. The blonde smiled sarcastically, then introduced the elder Uchiha into the juice. And no. What did you get? Look at herself. You also stutter. That's what I'll tell you. She is quite a fighting lady. Be careful with her. During the time after the war, Naruto learned to understand love affairs quite well, since there was simply no end to the fans. The white-haired man left Itachi to deal with his own feelings and stepped back. Kakashi flew up to him a little. Hey Naruto. Yes, Kakashi-sensei? You haven't really told me where you've been. Honestly, I guessed that you were alive, because you still have to fulfill your dream of becoming Hokage. I'm sorry, but I won't be returning to Konoha. What? But why? You heard yourself. Granny said that Sasuke and Itachi have an affair. I want to revive our clans, and also rebuild Uzumaki. By the way, we have already concluded an alliance with List. I really hope that the same will happen with Sand. Naruto said the last phrase quietly, so that no one would hear him. But he was wrong. Chi, who was running nearby, although she looked decrepit, had not yet lost her ability. Son, she turned to the guy. If you return Gaara, Sand will owe you everything. We will always be glad to see you. And since you have such grandiose plans, then it's not a sin to help. Thanks, Chi-sama. Don't worry like that. Union of 3 villages. What could be better? Maybe even the cursed stone, fog and cloud will finally pay for their many sins. Although I understand your views, I do not share them. I also want to take revenge on them for the destruction of my house. But I set myself the task of establishing peace in the world. If necessary, I will force the cage to do this by force. Internecine wars are, in order, tired of me, especially since a common enemy looms on the horizon. Akatsuki, the elder, looked askance at the interlocutor, who clearly did not intend to continue the dialogue about the new war, because he jumped from branch to branch without even turning his head. Do you have enough strength? Of course, Leaf and Sand can do a lot in alliance. But what if there will be war anyway? Believe me, Chi-sama. Naruto quickly flashed the Rinnegan, which did not hide from the old woman's gaze. I may look like a squishy blockhead, but in reality, all right, she said, a little apprehensively. Of course, Elder Chi knew exactly what it was. The woman was already over 70. She had read many legends related to this taijutsu, and was well aware of its power. But the elder had never seen this live, and curiosity overcame fear. In the meantime, the group was stopped by several dozen shurikens. The guys jumped down. 2 of the Akatsuki opened their eyes, one resembling a shark, the other wearing a mask. Itachi immediately went downstairs and looked straight at his former partner. Itachi-san? The Shark Kid, a shinobi with a crossed-out protector of the Hidden Mist Village, asked in disbelief. But you died when we fought against the Toad Hermit. As you can see, I'm standing alive in front of you. Kisame. The guy bowed feignedly. Is that Itachi-san? Kisame-senpai? Asked the second shinobi in an orange mask, with a hole for the eye. The one? Yes. Toby. Behind the uchiha. The others landed. I see. Itachi-san. You went over to the side of the enemy, and you have not lost your powers of observation. Hashigaki bit his lip to see if it was a genjutsu. His guess was wrong. The apostate shinobi sighed, and removed his blade, Samehada, from his shoulder. The sword was alive, and was able to absorb chakra, which information was immediately shared with Itachi's comrades. Kakashi-sensei. Chi-sama. Thick-browed master. Thick-browed. Neji. 10-10. Naruto called them. Go ahead. We'll handle it ourselves. Together? Against such shinobi? Lee asked in disbelief. Yes. Gaara needs help. We'll all be delayed here. We may not have time. Uzumaki-chi supported the decision. Come on. Go ahead. The rest of the group scattered. Tabi was about to go after them, but Kisame stopped him. They won't make it anyway. We're almost done. Hashigaki warned him. Better help me here. Okay. Kisame-senpai. I am sad that I will have to fight with my former partner. The Shark Kid bowed. It's true. Itachi didn't respond, only activating his Mankia Sharingan. Can you handle it, friend? Naruto asked quietly. I can do it. Well, the white-haired one turned to the opponents. You are lucky. I will not interfere. Naruto moved behind his partner, arms folded across his chest. Itachi pulled out a katana. Kisame slightly tilted his sword forward, clearly getting into a defensive stance. The Uchiha knew perfectly well that he was a complete layman on blades against Hoshigaki. Therefore, he decided to only confuse his former friend, and then attack. Naruto, meanwhile, watched Obito closely. He, without moving, drilled Uzumaki with one eye. Kisame-senpai, can I do the second one? Go. Tobi rushed forward. Kato, Phoenix Sage Flame technique. Several small fireballs headed towards the enemy in an unpredictable trajectory. But Naruto didn't even budge using Kamui. He smiled. Obito, let's stop this bullshit. Take off your mask. Gulchite. Show your face. The Uchiha stopped the attack, and looked at Naruto in bewilderment. It doesn't matter. The white-haired question warned him. So, shall we wave? Ditbeo? There was no answer. Tobi, no longer pretending, activated his Sharingan, which sent Itachi into a stupor. He did not show it, but was extremely surprised inside, which Kisame hastened to take advantage of. In an instant, having overcome the distance to his former partner, he swung and was about to blow off the brunette's head. Actually, he succeeded, only instead of the sound of a body falling, one of the seven heard the cry of ravens flying around. He got me into genjutsu, you bastard. The real Itachi, meanwhile, was already behind his former partner. Kato, great fireball technique. A giant burst of fire erupted from the former Nukenin's mouth, about to burn Kisame to the ground, but Tobi managed to pour his chakra into him. Shaking his head, the hidden mist monster managed to jump back at the last moment. In flight, he folded several seals and, without even shouting the name of the technique, released a water shark at the Uchiha. Naruto cheered up as the fight was beginning to bore him. Itachi, I think it's time to finish. Sure? Exactly. Obito, being a first-class censor, felt the chakra boiling inside Naruto. It belonged to all Bija. Kisame-senpai, I need to leave. I feel a powerful chakra inside the second one. We can't handle him. The renegade ninja looked at his partner in surprise, but decided to trust him. I just warmed up. Okay, move us out of here. Anyway, the Bijua has already been removed, already finished. Their bodies plummeted, revealing to the shinobi two ninjas wearing shinin and jounin vests. Approaching one of them, Itachi swore, damn, it's a sand shinobi just like I thought. Can you move us to the others? Yes. Naruto grabbed his friend's shoulder, and the couple disappeared into Kamui. Meanwhile, the rescue team had already reached the shelter. It was covered by a giant boulder, in the middle of which a seal was cheerful. Kakashi looked at her. It looks like there should be 4 more of the same around here. Neji, yes. Byakugan, the veins on the temples of the talented shinobi from the Hyuga clan bulged. White eyes began to scour the area. Found. The first to the south, 330 meters. The second to the north, 450 meters. Another hangs on a rock 100 meters to the west, and the last one to the east, 250. Guy, you and your team will have to rip those ones, and I will this one. The main thing is to do it at the same time, only then we can get inside. To find out, when everyone is ready, take them. Hatake held out several transmitters, and report on them. Fine. Guy's team scattered on points. At this time, Sakura and Sasuke plopped down next to Kakashi. With Kankuro everything will be all right. Irianen assured the others. He will live. He will come running here soon. Where are Naruto and Itachi? And Team Guy? Just missed each other. And those two left us a few kilometers away, having started a fight with two members of Akatsuki. What? And you let them go, Kakashi-sensei? Soared the girl. I don't think there's any need to worry about them. The Jnin looked somewhere behind the new rivals. Sakura and Sasuke turned around. Naruto and Itachi showed up just in time to leave Kamui, much to Kakashi's surprise, and to the others as well. Damn, we seem to have slept, Uzumaki said a little guiltily. Kakashi-sensei, will I explain everything later? Well, where is Gai-sensei? Gone to deactivate seals. Be ready. Sakura, understood. Haruno began to accumulate chakra in her fist to strike. Team Gai's voices were heard in Kakashi's transmitter, signaling their readiness. Great. Let's shoot about 3. 1, 2, 3. All seals were broken at the same time. Sakura ran, jumped up and hit the cobblestones. It shattered into small pebbles, leaving behind a cloud of dust. Naruto immediately activated Sage Mode. You, apparently, have a lot to tell me, Hatake said seriously. And, is this the Rinnegan? Where? Ask everything from Tsunade-sama. Kakashi-sensei, without turning his head, and continuing his way inside, Uzumaki said. She will tell you in detail. Itachi, Sasuke, follow me? Shinobi quickly ran into the cave, seeing not the most pleasant picture. 2 Akatsuki were standing in front of them, a blond man, and some old man with a strange hairstyle on his head. Well, how did they stand? The dung one sat on Gaara's corpse. Get off him, Naruto demanded, quickly, and you make me. The guy laughed. Sasori-san. Apparently, this is the Jinchuuriki of the Nine-Tailed. Maybe we can grab him too. Don't rush. Deidara. Look who's behind him. Do you recognize? Itachi came out. What? You? I knew that you worked for Konoha. Scum. Out of nowhere, a white bird made of explosive clay appeared. The one named Deidara jumped on top of her, picking up Gaara's corpse, put it on the ground. The Uzumaki demanded in a steely voice as Kakashi, Chi and Sakura materialized behind him. Naruto, Gai's team has been drawn into a fight with copies of themselves. Kakashi warned him. We'll have to deal with it on our own. As you say. Deidara, grinning, flew out of the cave. Kakashi, nodding to his student, along with Sasuke and Sakura began to pursue the fugitive. Granny Chi, the second said in a hoarse voice. I'm glad to see you in full health. Can you get out of the doll, granddaughters? She asked, clearly not expecting an affirmative answer. No thanks, I'll be fine. Perhaps the fight against 3 at once will be quite difficult for me. The elder prepared to attack, but the Uzumaki placed a hand on her shoulder. She looked strangely at her teammate. Sasori. Naruto began his speech, flying up, which greatly surprised the Nukenin. I suggest you become a shinobi of the village hidden in whirlpools. What? Akasuna no Chi asked, a little bewildered. The status of Nukenin will be removed from you, as it was removed from Itachi. You will officially be in the ranks of the warriors of my village. She's ruined. A long time ago. I know, and I'm going to restore it. Once I've completed the mission, I'll head there with the builders. Itachi, Sasuke, and you if you agree. And what good is this to me? You see, I'm impressed by your art. I really think that it should last forever, should please the descendants with its beauty, should inspire them. At least someone agrees with me. This idiot thinks art is an explosion. Explosion purely theoretically it cannot be, as it is fleeting. I tell him the same thing. And this moron, who are you calling a moron? A clay spider landed on Naruto's shoulder. Explosion. Rikudo staggered but held his ground. True, the right hand still broke away from the body, falling down to the ground. Naruto slowly turned his head. You will answer for this, parasite. Ditbeo. With one hand, he held a combination of seals. Behind Deidara, sharp stone spikes formed on the rock. It was done so quickly that no one, except the owners of the Sharingan, noticed the technique. Uzumaki slowly cocked the remaining limb, pointing it at the Nukenin, and said, "I wish you good luck in the afterlife." Shinra Tensei. The push was pretty strong. Deidara imprinted directly on these pins that pierced his body around the entire perimeter through and through. After coughing up blood, Akatsuki laughed. "You won't just kill me." The clay bird flew close to the blonde. Explosion. Naruto. Sasuke exclaimed as he jumped up trying to save his friend, but Itachi held him back. The Uchiha glared at his brother, but he nodded towards Sasori. He, with his iron tail, wrapped around the Uzukage's body, pulling him towards him. The explosion went through the empty space. Deidara, exhaling, looked at his already former partner with anger in his eyes, and collapsed to the ground. The head was crushed, causing a gag reflex in the newly arrived Sakura. The shinobi surrounded Sasori, who kept the Uzumaki in imprisonment. "You own the Rinnegan. It's pointless to fight against you. Moreover, our views on art are identical with you. I agree to join you." The guy lowered Naruto to the floor, and turned to the others. "I'm leaving Akatsuki." "What?" The newcomers roared. "That doesn't give you protection from trial for kidnapping and killing the Kazekage." Sakura exclaimed. Chi-sama?" The old woman walked over to Gaara's body. She leaned towards his torso, holding her hands out in front of her. They glowed with a blue aura. "You still decided to use her?" Akasuna said with a little sadness in his voice. "I can help. Do as you see fit." The puppeteer got out of his puppet, striking everyone with his booty. Red hair, beautiful, model face, a little hazy look. The guy seemed to be Naruto's age. He approached his grandmother, adding his chakra to the technique. Gradually, Gaara began to open his eyes a little, while the elder took on an already painful look. Soon they all collapsed into the arms of Sasori, who carefully lowered her to the ground. "What did you do?" Haruno asked angrily, flying up to the former Nukenin, but noticed the changes in the body of the Kazekage. "Gaara, you are alive? Where am I?" The red-haired guy asked, a little bewildered, looking around, and noticed his best friend, Naruto. "You? Yes, I'm alive too." "No time. Ugh." He tried to get up, but his right forearm gave off a strong pain. Sakura immediately flew up to him, offering her shoulder. The white-haired man smiled gratefully, and threw his left arm over his friend's neck. Sasori approached him. "I knew that it was a doll," the victim said weakly. "I'm glad you agreed. Naruto, your strength is amazing. Plus, at least someone supports my art." The puppeteer smiled. "I will give you a personal laboratory in the village, and a house where you want. You must keep creating. I will gladly accept the gift." Akasuna looked at his new comrade. "But your hand." Speaking of which, Kakashi joined in. Recently, a pair of arms were grown from the cells of the first Sama in Konoha's lab. "We'll just make one for you. It would be cool." Naruto chuckled briefly. "Well, let's go then?" Yes. It's about time." Commentary on Naruto and the Rinnegan. Part 4. Fuck, you are crazy. Thank you for such an asset under the last chapter, and I apologize for such small and boring fights. Otherwise it would have been a very long chapter. And, plus, they are quite difficult to describe. I really hope that you will forgive me. A sinner. P.S. Feel free to use the public beta. I'm still working on my own. Naruto and Rinnegan. Part 5. Naruto woke up in his subconscious. During the time spent together with all the tailed ones, it turned into a piece of paradise. The fact is that each beast had its own element, creating its own personal home. Being in the Jinchuuriki, so, Shukaku, for example, immediately created a desert for himself, where the sun was constantly frying. Matatabi loved to bask in the mouth of her own volcano. Isabu lit up a giant lake. Son Gaku, since he was essentially the embodiment of a monkey, lived in the jungle. Kakuo constantly rushed across the field. Seiken lived in the same place as his four-tailed counterpart, only at a distance. Chaomei lived in a meadow with flowers. Gyaki settled in the sea. And Kurama decided that since she was the first Bijua here, she would be the main one. That is why her palace towered above the rest of the world, thus creating a kind of moon. And even though all the tailed ones were now in human forms, they still didn't like each other yet. In particular, Shukaku and Kurama simply couldn't stand it, while Seiken and Son Gaku became, one might consider, best friends. And now there was a wild uproar, since Naruto learned to turn off their voices for himself. Even though the monsters became human, their volume remained the same. Uzumaki did not really want to go into the details of another quarrel of his old friends, and only wondered how the super grandfather lived all his life with them, especially the little ones. Their volume remains the same. Uzumaki did not really want to go into the details of another quarrel of his old friends, and only wondered how the super grandfather lived all his life with them, especially the little ones. Their volume remains the same. Uzumaki did not really want to go into the details of another quarrel of his old friends, and only wondered how the super grandfather lived all his life with them, especially the little ones. Oh, again, the white-haired one experienced Spanish shame. They are a doctrinalian years old, but they behave like some kind of kids. Here you are right. The three tails appeared nearby, looking like a Jinchuuriki of the same age, only with blue hair, and tattoos on his face that he never got into quarrels with his relatives. Guess who had a fight again? Naruto made a fake smart face, scratching his chin. Maybe Kurama and Shukaku? Yes. Isabu just now noticed the right hand of the second father, as he was called, Bijua, or rather its absence. What's wrong with your hand? One of the Akatsuki tore off. And guess who? Deidara? Yeah, here. The tailed one squeezed his hand. Both me and you. Come on. He is now lying bloodied on the floor in some cave. I pierced it with pins, and thanks for that. By the way, why didn't you grow your arm? Yes. There they were already in shock. If I had done this act, I would have fainted. But there are advantages to losing a limb. I will now have Makoten. Ditbeo. It was written on Isabu's face that he was not happy. Oh, right. You don't like him very much. It's not that we don't like something. It's just that he can restrain your abilities as well. Perhaps. Naruto made a smart face. What if he's just at enmity with your chakra, because you yourself want it so much? What do you mean? What if Hagoromo specifically added this function to the element, but in fact, the tailed chakra and Makoten are able to combine into such a bundle? In simple terms, just a cannon. Maybe you're right. It's worth a try. Just then, the 5 tails flew down from the palace in the sky, and then the 1 tails. Naruto and Isabu followed their eyes. What was Kakao doing there? So the brother acts as a third party whenever there is a scratch. And it happens all the time. You should visit us more often. This beast only calms down with you. Go up to her. Maybe I'll finally be able to sleep. Yes, okay. POV author. Attention. The following passage is strictly 18+. And this is not because there is porn, but because your psyche can fly to hell after reading it. End POV author. Naruto began to take off, heading towards the castle. He was quite handsome. Gold oozed from everywhere, statues of Jinchuuriki standing around the perimeter, and installed at the initiative of the fox, although the guy himself was against it. Domes. The red carpet. Naruto landed right in front of the entrance and went inside. Immediately the smell of blood, fights and lubrication of a woman hit my nose. Apparently, Kurama had a lot of fun while the Uzumaki was gone. By the way, the hero of the occasion just came to the podium. Honestly, her figure was just gorgeous. A beautiful face, a voluminous chest, which gave odds only to Tsunade Senju, a well-groomed waist, an elastic fifth point, slender legs, a small foot size. In general, when the blonde saw her even in clothes, his pants were already getting tight, and then the girl came out in a dressing gown. Yes, it was a girl, because the fox wanted to see herself as an 18-year-old. Oh, dear. Decided to show up. We quickly went to the bedroom. Kurama dragged the taken aback Uzumaki by the hand, not even noticing the absence of the other. I haven't had sex for several months. I probably already understood. Why, yes. The guy knew perfectly well that it was not worth arguing with the nine tails in anger, so when the couple reached the bed, after putting up a sound barrier, he dutifully began to obey her. The girl, one might say, threw him on the bed, lay down on top and kissed Naruto with a noisy sigh, immediately taking the initiative into her own hands. The blonde dug his hand under the robe, looking for one of the mountains, as he called the woman's breast, and began to squeeze it, periodically tugging at the nipple. Through the kiss Naruto heard a languid sigh. Kurama, having fallen to the lips of the guy for the last time, began to trace the path of kisses from them to the cock. Having lingered a little on her pants, she pulled them off with her teeth, and saw the sexual organ that had already swelled from excitement. Smiling carnivorously, the girl immediately dropped her mouth to him, licking the head, and completely putting it in her mouth. Naruto exhaled loudly. Running his hand through her red hair, Kurama tried to squeeze her lips as tightly as possible, gradually accelerating, as a result of which Uzumaki no longer held back the cry. After all, he himself had not had sexual intercourse for several months. Kurama. Barely pronouncing the words, after 15 minutes Naruto tried to warn the girl. I'm now Ko Anchu. He had already said the last word, ejaculating into the fox's mouth. She dutifully accepted everything, without a trace, and then, looking up from the food, swallowed everything to the last drop, smacking her lips. Don't say you're already blown away, old man. We've only just begun. Oh, the girl, completely forgetting all the rules of etiquette, took off her panties, and sat on her boyfriend's face, cleansing the penis with her mouth. Naruto, in turn, smeared his woman's labia with his mouth, sometimes diving inside, but then, Uzumaki's poof evaporated. And it's not that he was a shadow clone, no. It was just that his own body forcibly returned him to a normal state. Kurama, cursing viciously, so in fact, without finishing, hit the wall, where he punched a hole. Naruto found himself in the Konoha hospital, and immediately looked at his right hand. She was already there. The boy breathed a sigh of relief, and just now looked around the room. In the Uzumaki's room, he lay alone. There were no visitors, although, I don't know if the blonde could already consider the Uchiha brothers living here as visitors. Their raincoats hung on a hanger, and the owners themselves were now playing cards. Oh Naruto, are you awake? Sasuke noticed, putting aside the deck that interfered. How is the hand? Does not hurt. You better tell me what's up with the sand contracts. Signed? I did everything, Itachi replied, blushing a little. Apparently, not only contracts. Uzumaki laughed. Come on. Don't worry, I'll let you go in 9 months. Yes. I'm not talking about that. Heh heh. The white-haired man stood up with ease. While he was being attached to his hand, Konoha's workers completed an order for Uzushi's protectors, and also, especially for Naruto, made a black cage hat, on the front of which was written the kanji, Uzukage. He took her in his hands, and threw her behind his back. Until I rebuilt the village, I have no right to wear it. Okay, so we are already very late. We should move forward. Wait. Sasuke extended his hand to Uzumaki's back. But what about Makoten? You should learn to. Naruto sighed, turned around and extended his hand forward. Directly below her, sprouts began to grow from the floor, eventually turning into a small sakura. The Uchiha's eyes popped out of their sockets. What? Are you really human? You didn't even train. Well, I quickly grasp everything on the fly. Especially, Naruto cleared his throat a little and fell silent, because after receiving the Sharingan from Obito, he had repeatedly seen Captain Yamato use Makoten, as a result of which he copied the techniques of this element, and it was not convenient to talk about it now. Okay, never mind. Well, Sasuke glared at everything. What are you mumbling? I noticed a long time ago that you are not our Naruto. No, definitely you are Naruto Uzumaki, the son of the fourth Hokage, Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki, the Jinchuuriki of the 9 tails. Though maybe, no, you are definitely the Jinchuuriki of all tailed ones. But not ours. But their own. Why do you think so? Uzumaki said stupidly, laughing nervously. Our Naruto is chen stupid, and in combination, he is also a ladies' man. You're the complete opposite. Itachi and Naruto looked at each other with a hint of regret, and turned towards Sasuke. The blonde immediately set up a sound barrier, slammed the door, closed the curtains. Yes, you're right. I'm not your Naruto. I am from another world. I'm 17, not 16. I'm the Jinchuuriki of all tailed beasts. I have not only the Rinnegan, but also the Sharingan, so I copied the Makoten in my world. What happened to me and Sakura? The Uchiha asked coldly. You both died in the war, as did Hinata. In the Fourth Shinobi World War. It was unleashed by Akatsuki, in particular Obito Uchiha and Zetsu, as well as their ally Kabuto. We dealt with the last one in Orochimaru's lair, but the first 2 are alive. How did you meet my brother? I got to that time right before Sasori and Deidara. By the way, where is Sasori? He'll be here soon. Don't evade the answer. Naruto sighed heavily, seeking help in the older Uchiha's eyes, but the older Uchiha just shrugged, supposedly saying that Sasuke should know the truth. Uzumaki, realizing that he could not get away, told absolutely the entire timeline from the beginning of his birth to getting here. Sasuke did the same so Naruto wouldn't feel uncomfortable. It turned out that their worlds have a lot in common, the differences are only in the behavior of the characters. So, Sakura is a specific kid and a feminist. Sasuke is shy, loves Sakura very much, but frankly, she doesn't give a damn. Jiraiya is not a pervert, but an intelligent man, whom Tsunade is in love with without memory, who, in turn, probably didn't change it all. And this is only a small part. Oh, okay, I agree to help you. Anyway, my dream has always been the revival of the Uchiha clan, and here is such an opportunity. Yes, Sasuke, don't tell anyone. Okay? Yes, I understand. I'm not stupid. By the way, will you give me my ringen? You'll get it yourself. Bastard, have you forgotten already? Anyway, gifts are not gifts. You're a bitch. The Uzumaki laughed. All right, let's go. After removing the sound barrier, the future Uzukage opened the door to the corridor. Across from his room, Sasori was sitting in the hall, chatting sweetly with Shizen. Seeing the patient, she jumped up. Naruto, damn you, get to the ward quickly. For what? I feel amazing, especially since I need to hurry. Shizen-san. She narrowed her eyes, but the former Akatsuki's hand softened her. Okay, anyway, the hand is like new already. I will inform Tsunade-sama to gather the builders. Do you know how to swim to there? Well, I'm Uzumaki after all. Ditbeo, I'll figure it out somehow. Shizen, nodding in understanding, walked towards the exit, while Sasori watched her go. Then he turned towards the Trinity and saw Itachi, who was no longer hiding his laughter, which was extremely rare, and puzzled Naruto and Sasuke. Ha ha ha. Oh. Ah ah ha ha. He still couldn't calm down. Ah ha ha. Sasori, you. Oh. Mother, give birth to me back. What the hell are you doing? Dung one. Show at least a little respect for the elders. Akasuna frowned. You see, it's just a miracle. Having calmed down a little, he began to explain the situation to the other two shinobi. Well, at Akatsuki meetings he was so serious. You know, he sits, is silent all the time, gives Deidara cuffs. There was a feeling that pain took the virgin monk into the group. Who would say? The redhead shamed him. I know what you and Temari were doing, and what to me claims could be. Naruto suddenly felt his ki rising sharply. So, everyone calmed down. There was not enough fight here. We need to go, and we're suffering from garbage here. Let's go to. The four left the hospital, and went towards the gate under the bewildered looks of the residents. Almost all of Konoha had already gathered at the gate. Tsunade was not too lazy and kicked everyone to go to the meeting place in order to see off Uzukage, Sasori, Uchiha, as well as about 100 builders, chief among whom was Tazuna-san? Naruto asked in surprise, noticing a familiar old man. Oh, how you have grown, my boy. Is that Sasuke with you? And I take it his brother is Itachi. And Sasori no Akasuna? The trio bowed. Why are you here? Asked Uzumaki. So the best builders live in the land of waves. The architect poked his chest with his finger. Therefore, as soon as I heard that you were going to rebuild the great village, I immediately gathered everyone and moved here. Behind him loomed about 700 workers of the country of waves, a little less from Konoha, and about 300 sand. Naruto. Tsunade waved at him. I invited the only person who owns Makoten here. He will educate you, and also build temporary dwellings for the workers and you. And by the way, here he is. A man with a steel protector like the second Hokage appeared next to Uzumaki. He held out his hand to the blonde. Hello Naruto. My name is Tenzo, or Captain Yamato, whatever you want to call it. I'm glad that now I'm not the only one who owns Makoten. Mutually, Captain. The white-haired shook her, and turned to the Hokage. Tsunade-sama, I think it's time for us to move out. At these words, a fireworks salute sounded in honor of the renewal of the old union. The Uzukage and the Hokage shook hands. I'll come give or take in a month to see how things are going with you. In the meantime, I wish you a good trip. The area around the central gate erupted in applause, and a fairly large group set off towards the nearest port to head for the ruined Maelstrom country. She was in the southeast of the Land of Fire, on two islands located close to each other, as a result of which the journey should have taken about a week. Hidden Cloud Village has always been famous for the sharp nature of its cage, ready to advance the entire army, if something does not suit them. This is what happened right now. What? Roared the fourth Raikage. Hey, what do you mean? They're going to restore Uzumaki. I don't know myself. That's how intelligence reported. His right-hand Darua answered with a shrug. And judging by the data, Konoha and Suna are helping them. Who's so cheeky? Jinchuuriki of the Nine Tails. Uzumaki Naruto. What? The Raikage said for the umpteenth time. Darua, urgently call Samue with her detachment to me. They're going to spy on that boy. And what was Konoha thinking when she let go of her Jinchuuriki? I cannot know. But rumor has it that that kid, Naruto Uzumaki, was dead. And now somehow resurrected. He was killed by Kabuto Ikushi, Orochimaru's henchman. Is that how? We can't let some sucker rebuild this village. Tell those three to move right away. Without even coming to my place, I got up and noisily picked up one of his dumbbells. Live. Commentary on Naruto and the Rinnegan. Part 5. If I describe all the changes in the behavior of the characters, you will get bored reading, so we will do it this way. As the plot develops, you will understand everything yourself, and as I said earlier, I arrange a survey of more or less canonical pairings. 1. Naru Saku. 2. Naru Hina. 3. Naru Ino. Naru Samue and Naru Kurama are not discussed. I have already added them. If you want to see any other pairing here, write it down. I will try to take it into account. Naruto and Rinnegan. Part 6. The journey to the nearest southern port city of the Land of Fire took much longer than the newly minted Uzumaki would have liked. The main factor, of course, was the builders. Unlike shinobi, they needed much more rest, food and sleep than warriors hardened in battles and constant training. And now the gigantic group has stopped at the next front line. Naruto, as usual, went to train with Yamato while Sasuke, Itachi and Sasori strained all their senses in order to sense the approach of a possible enemy in time. You learn quite quickly. The captain stated the fact, watching the next success in mastering the new element of his student. One gets the feeling that you already know how to correctly use Makoten. Well, I'm just a genius, I noticed. You mastered the tree clone technique much earlier than I thought. Although it is the main one, it is still a good result. Shall we spar our clones? As you wish. Naruto folded the seals of the tiger dog snake, and a tree-like statue began to crawl out of his body, gradually turning into an exact copy of the original. The salt of this technique was one big disadvantage. The clone directly draws strength from the original, which means if the owner of the Makoten is busy fighting, the tree clone will not be able to fight at full strength. Yamato created the same clone, giving him instructions for battle, and the opponents dispersed to the sides. While they fight, I would like you to learn another technique from my arsenal. I called it the four-column prison technique. The teacher walked a couple of meters away from his student, and demonstrated by folding the seals of the goat ox pig snake. Right next to him, wooden columns and lattices began to grow out of the ground, eventually forming a kind of cage. When using it, I transform the earth into wood with the help of chakra, thereby very quickly forming a cage, the dimensions of which are limited only by my imagination. It can be either an insect cage, or a whole prison. It depends only on the regulation of the chakra invested in the technique. Due to the fact that the wood is saturated with chakra, it is quite difficult to destroy the cage and escape. During wars, it is convenient to keep prisoners in such a cage, but also to maintain discipline. delinquent subordinates can be placed there, Yamato explained. You try. Naruto repeated the same combination, and placed his hand on the ground, filling the soil with his chakra, which concretely increased in volume. Small columns barely began to rise from the ground, gradually increasing in size. Uzumaki saw how his sensei was looking at this miracle with eyes popping out of their sockets. So he quickly hurried to retreat, accidentally breaking the boards. Amazing, Tenzao said slowly. You practically mastered the jutsu on the first try. I think by the end of our journey, you will already have learned all my techniques, and be able to repeat them perfectly. Thank you. The white-haired man stupidly scratched his head, at the back of his head, remembering how he liked to do it before in awkward situations, and tried again. In order not to reveal his secret ahead of time, he gradually, step by step, increased the size and strength of the prison. It took about several hours for everything about everything, until finally the technique reached perfection. I don't know. Of course. What is the reason for your speed in learning? Perhaps because of the 6 paths sage strength. Congratulations. 2 techniques in 2 days is definitely a good result. Yamato nodded his head approvingly, and noticed Sasuke approaching. He nervously indicated with a nod to continue the campaign. Naruto and Tenzao approached him, simultaneously clapping the Uchiha's furrowed brow on the shoulder. Don't worry, we'll all make it. Ditbeo. The Uzumaki smiled good-naturedly. Not in this case. Turn on your sensors. The white-haired man looked at his friend in bewilderment, and heeded the advice. Closing his eyes, he tried to catch anyone's excess chakra and succeeded. The fact is that due to the long campaign, the group, although probably already an army, was overtaken by a trinity from the cloud. They were located a few kilometers from the builders. The Uzumaki furrowed his eyebrows, clicking his tongue in displeasure. Cloud? What is it doing here? That's it. I suggest moving forward urgently. Apparently, the Raikage is not very happy about the prospect of reviving the village of his old enemies. Chasing 3. In no case should you take the fight, because of the builders. They may get hurt. Naruto rubbed the bridge of his nose. Speed up the pace. We will not reveal what we have guessed about the persecution. Let them continue to think about our blindness. Forward. The trio quickly made it to the rest of the group. The army reached the port settlement in less than 2 days, covering a distance of tens of kilometers. During this time, Yamato was able to teach Naruto 3 more techniques. The 4-pillar house technique, the pillar house series technique, and the great forest technique. Why 3? It was just that the first 2 were very similar to the 4-pillar prison technique, although they required more chakra. By the end of the first part of their journey, the builders were exhausted, but the prospect of falling into the clutches of a hostile village was far less reassuring, so the men strained their remaining strength. They were already waiting. Naruto-sama. Hello. An older man greeted those who came. Tsunade-sama warned us. The ships are ready to depart. Excellent. Uzumaki turned to the builders. Get on board. I will need to do something. You don't have to wait for me. I'll catch up with you on the way. Without asking too many questions, people began to hastily board the wooden ships. Only Sasuke gave a puzzled look, supposedly asking, "Can you handle it on your own?" Naruto nodded back, and moved away from the port, having previously activated Sage Mode. The 3 shinobi's chakra became more tangible, and the shinobi just couldn't ignore it. A little further into the forest, he found himself in a small clearing, where, according to the ninja, the clouds were supposed to hide. Come out, Uzumaki said in a steely voice. I have long felt your chakra. There is no point in hiding. Silence cut through her ears. Well, if you don't want it to be good, it will be bad. Several Gudauds flew in the direction of the alleged location of the enemy. Several thumps were heard, and several bodies fell from the trees. Naruto did not seek to kill them, so he hit the trunks of mighty plants, and the vibration threw them off. The Trinity, barely getting up, dusted himself off a bit and lined up. A buxom blonde stood in front. Behind her were two shinobi, a red-skinned woman and a guy. It could be seen from their height that the two were the same age, while the girl in the middle was clearly older than the Uzumaki. Who you are? Naruto asked. Right now. We told you so, shouted the second girl, and rushed to the guy. He exhaled tiredly and yawned, dodging her painfully primitive lunge. Who you are? Repeated question Uzumaki. The other two began to surround him. A ring formed. All right, I'll extract this information from you myself. Of course, Naruto knew perfectly well who his opponents were. Amoy, Karua, and Samui were pretty strong cloud shinobi, but compared to the Uzumaki, their powers were like small grains of sand on a beach. Easily dodging the blows of the ninja, he yawned from time to time, thus showing disrespect towards his counterpart. Frankly, I'm tired of this farce, he said after a 15-minute dance. Samui, Karua and Amoy, did the Raikage really care about the village of hidden whirlpools? The trio stopped their attack, staring at the cage in bewilderment. He laughed, tilting his head slightly to the left, and holding out his shakujo, pointing it at the blonde. Let's do this. I don't want to kill you, so you just go away, and leave me alone, okay? Ditbeo? He turned to the leader of the group. Yeah, how? Karua screamed. So you won't leave, right? Naruto asked with a sigh. The answer was a fu-kune, which the blonde fought off without any problems. I take it no. The Rinnegan was replaced by Obito's Sharingan, leaving everyone present in a daze. This. Your ticket home, Uzumaki said coldly, finishing the sentence instead of Ko Samui. Have a nice trip. In 1 second, he was close to the kunoichi, and touched her shoulder with his hand. The smell of the guy washed over the girl, which drove her into the paint. She slightly looked away from the shinobi, which did not hide from Samui's teammates. You go first. The girl and the guy immediately disappeared into Kamui. The other two looked fearfully at the empty space, where Naruto was immediately back. The procedure was repeated first with Karua, and then with Amoy, and was so fast that the shinobi couldn't even follow her. Turning back, he exhaled sharply. Damn, energy-consuming technique. He took off and headed towards the sea, along which several ships were already sailing with might and main. 2 islands, on which the village of Fuinjutsu Masters used to be located. The ships entered the bay of one. The hair of the white-haired guy, who stood on the mast of one of the ships, was swayed by the early morning wind, blowing it in all directions. For the first time in a long time, a genuine smile appeared on his face. Suddenly Naruto felt a light touch on his shoulder. Itachi, you didn't fall asleep? It was only now that the Uzumaki realized that he was wildly tired. There were bags under his eyes. He looked exhausted. Adrenaline did not give. And who knows what the Raikage will think. I absolutely do not want to fall asleep on the ship, but wake up in its prison. It's clear. The ships anchored a few hundred meters from the beach. The captain explained this decision by saying that closer ships could run aground. The boat landings began. The view of the builders and shinobi opened up a stunning view. The river flowing along the beautiful ruined buildings went straight through the island, pouring into the sea. Naruto decided to start rebuilding this place. So, Naruto, Yamato called him, For now, I'll build temporary houses for you. Will you help? Of course. But first, I'll clear the area. Naruto activated the Rinnegan and took to the air. Tens didn't really understand his phrase, but he trusted the student. And what was his surprise when Uzumaki, without a twinge of conscience, used Shinra Tensei on old, dilapidated, albeit beautiful houses, leveling them to the ground. What did you do? He yelled. How would you like it? Reconstruction will not work, you see for yourself. So let's build a new one. The shinobi bowed his head, but remained silent. Tazuna-san. Naruto turned to the architect. You can get to work. Thank you. The architects, under the direction of the old man, moved away from the rest of the group to discuss a new type of building. The workers pulled out the building materials with the help of Sasori's surprisingly strong puppets, as well as Itachi and Sasuke. Yamato and Naruto went deep into the island, or rather, into the forest, where they decided to build a small temporary village. So, let's start. The ANBU officer commanded. The guys simultaneously folded the dog-sheep-snake combination and put their hands to the ground. Between the trees, one after another, beautiful wooden houses with the symbols of Konoha and Azushio began to rise. Since there were many workers, but no space, 2 and sometimes 3-story buildings had to be erected at once. But after such a dozen, Yamato collapsed exhausted to the ground. Trying to grab the air with his mouth. The captain said. I ran out of breath. Little chakra left. A very costly technique for me. Rest. I'll finish it myself, said Naruto, who, on the contrary, still had unmeasured strength. Without fatigue in his eyes, he folded the combination again, and more, and more, and more. In general, having built about 30 more houses, the guy thought that this should be enough. Each had several separate rooms, so there should have been enough for 1,000 workers. Well, sort of like that. Naruto wiped the sweat from his forehead. Really energy-consuming technique, even for me. He threw Yamato's left arm over his neck, and helped him get to the place of arrival. Since no more than 2 hours had passed, all the building materials had not yet been pulled out. Tazuna was explaining something to the rest of the architects, clearly demonstrating it on the drawing. As it turns out later, the old man, back in the land of waves, sketched a drawing of new buildings, as well as the residents of the Uzumaki. In total, they planned to build modern 4-story buildings with panoramic windows, the Shinobi Academy, ports, even a shopping center, and a market in the new Uzumaki. The last 3 were vital, since, in fact, Maelstrom Village was at the crossroads of the fire and water trade routes. Naruto planned, thanks to this favorable strategic position, to make the village, and in the future the land of whirlpools, one of the richest in the world. Sasuke, what the hell are you doing? Naruto suddenly shouted, looking somewhere to the side, which slightly brought Yamato to himself. He also fixed his eyes on the uchiha. The brunette was lugging the giant log alone, shrugging off the offered help. Of course, it fell, almost killing one of the poor fellows. Oh, Muda Naruto drawled softly. Yamato-sensei. A second. Lie down here? Yes. I'll come to my senses. Don't worry. The white-haired one carefully lowered his teacher down, after which he approached his friend with a serious look. What are you doing? Did you want to be killed? Let me help, and don't you dare refuse. The 2 guys took a log, carrying it to the indicated place, and so their measured life on the island passed. It's been about 4 months already. Construction went on at full speed, of course, not without casualties. During this time, many builders were going to stay here to live, which surprised Naruto unspeakably. So what? It was quite quiet here, near the sea, relatively safe. By the way, a lot of things had already been built, because the chakra worked such miracles. First of all, of course, Tazuna convinced Naruto of the need for the cage residence. Of course, he at first denied, but nevertheless agreed. Also, renegade ninjas from different villages began to arrive in the future hidden village. Uzumaki welcomed them all with open arms. The construction of their own fleet began, when even more builders, ordinary residents and warriors, began to sail to the island. After all, the village needed to communicate with the rest of the world. But everywhere there are flaws. Construction was quite dangerous. Many workers fell off the scaffolding and died. Then Naruto personally flew to Konoha and convinced Tsunade to send the Arianen. Sakura gladly agreed to lead this mission. Now there are far fewer victims. But there was another big problem. Well, what a problem. More like a problem. The Ray Cage did not let up in any way, sending more and more of his shinobi here. Of course, Uzumaki did not kill any of them. He simply caught and, with the help of Kamui, transferred them back to the hidden cloud, which surprised Aya, and in the end, he stopped his attempts to disrupt the restoration. Of course, Tsunade also contributed to this by openly threatening the Ray Cage with war if such raids continued, and since the cloud against the leaf in a one-on-one had no chance, he supposedly did a favor, agreeing. Well, what to do? The fifth Mizukage Mai Turami absolutely did not want a new war against such a hot guy, in her opinion, and the third Tsuchikage Naki simply did not care. In general, the whirlpool flourished. Naruto, as he was the only representative of the Uzumaki clan on the island so far, penetrated the secret vault of his family name, taking out all the hidden scrolls from there. With the help of them, he learned a lot in Fuinjutsu, and also activated the ancient protection of the village. In fact, because of which it bore such a name. Several whirlpools that surrounded the islands. It was extremely difficult for an unprepared traveler to pass them, since the diameter of the rings reached an unprecedented 10, or even 15 kilometers. And then, one fine day, Uzukage-sama, out-of-breath Sasuke, flew into the office. Well, how much can I ask you not to call me that? Huh? What's happened? Remember, you wanted to find more Uzumaki members around the world? I remembered a girl who was in Orochimaru's northern refuge. Her name is Karen Uzumaki. Naruto jumped up. Do you know where she is? My call has spotted her near the border of the leaf with the rain. I don't know what she forgot. We're leaving immediately. Itachi. The Uchiha appeared in a rustle of leaves in the office. He wore the standard ANBU uniform, as he was now his leader in the Maelstrom, whose members he trained himself from renegade ninjas and civilians. Remain in charge. Then he turned to Sasuke. We'll go together. Yes. Uzumaki walked up to his best friend, and took him by the shoulder. The guys disappeared in Kamui. Commentary on Naruto and the Rinnegan. Part 6. So, I know. The chapter turned out a little shit. I hope you like it. And based on the results of the poll, I decided to add Narusaku and Naruhina. I don't know how I can do it, but, cunt to my head. But it will be fun. I'm not strong in love lines, but I promise that it will work out. Ditbeo. Naruto and Rinnegan. Part 7. Sasuke and Naruto appeared at the border of fire and rain. She looked, among other things, strange. On one side the bright sun was shining, and on the other, it was pouring incessant rain. Sasuke looked at his partner. Do you know who is waiting for us there? The Uchiha asked with a wicked smile. Of course. There are Akatsuki, if not dispersed on missions. Uzumaki muttered. Who do you take me for? Ditbeo. Still, we're not much different from our Naruto. Sasuke sighed. By the way, why did you leave the village here? Is it because of the cursed sign again? Not only. Also because of you. The brunette ran his hand through his hair. What? The white-haired incredulously, and even with contempt, examined his friend from head to toe. Oh, Kami. Sasuke. You are such a whiner here. And, in principle, in my world he was. Is it really? The Uchiha slapped Naruto on the back of the head. A whiner? Yeah. HMM. To be honest, I really regret that I didn't say everything to you then. Well, in the sense of another to your face. How did you piss me off? You idiot. Mutually, moron. The guys laughed kindly, and crossed the border. They were immediately doused with rain, but the partners did not even raise an eyebrow. Are you planning to use your god power? The brunette teased the blonde. Or would you prefer to wave a katana, in which case? No. Today I work exclusively with my hands. I'm tired of taking out everyone with one blow. Naruto smiled and added quietly. It's going to be fun, when Madara shows up. Why katana? Since Uzumaki had often practiced kenjutsu with Itachi lately, and was doing quite well, so he now always carried cold weapons. His attire also changed to match the terrain, but mostly Naruto wore all black. Of course, once he activated Sage Mode, he blinded, as Sasuke put it, everyone with his white light. But now the guys were not up to arguing. Listen, Naruto, your sensory abilities are much better developed than mine. The Uchiha turned to his friend, and spread his arms. So look for her. Hey, don't leave all the work to me. Ditbeo. You, too, tighten the rolls. But in any case, you will find it faster than me. Yeah. By the way, I already found it. But with her, I feel another chakra, painfully familiar to me. The shinobi smiled carnivorously. Toby, he didn't quite understand the reason why Obito was next to Karen. Yes. What is located? Their chakras literally walked side by side. This meant two options. Either Karen was captured by the Akatsuki, or she joined them. And this sweet couple was in the capital of Rain, in the hidden village, where Pain Nagato ruled with a steel hand. Well, where are they? Sasuke asked with a little nervousness. In Hidden Rain. At the moment they are heading to the highest tower. We need to hurry. Agree. The shinobi quickened their pace, gradually moving into a run. Karen and Toby calmly walked through the streets of the village hidden in the rain. Both were wearing an Akatsuki cloak. At the moment, the Nuknins were on their way to the tower. To the meeting. Tabi-senpai. The girl started a conversation. Tell me, who was your previous partner? Kisame-san. The Uchiha muttered slowly. He died on a mission to seal the Seven Tails. Of course, I could have saved him, but that would have called into question the interests of Akatsuki, and then continued with his foolishness. But I'm glad that it happened. After all, it was not for nothing that the words were said. Sometimes you have to sacrifice one thing in order to gain another. No, don't think that I consider you or his thing. It's just that if it wasn't for Kisame-san's death, I wouldn't have met and recruited you. Karen-chan. Yes, The Uzumaki drawled in disbelief. I'll take my word for it. Tabi-senpai. Can you tell us, how many have we sealed? Well, Toby put his finger to the bottom of his mask, tilted his head a little, and began to count. 1 tails, 7 tails, 4 tails and 9 tails. Isn't the last one now in Uzumaki Naruto? I heard he's alive. When Kabuto brought him to us after the Battle of the Three Sannin, we removed this beast from him. So he died, but why he walks alive is unclear. Well, Let's ask now. Karen stopped. His chakra and Sasuke Uchiha's chakra are now approaching us. What? Damn it. We must report to the leader. He exclaimed with the same stupidity and rushed forward, leaving the gloomy Karen alone, who reluctantly trudged after him. Naruto and Sasuke entered the Rain Village. They weren't at all surprised by the constantly flashing crossed-out protectors back and forth. Their owners now and then threw surprised glances at the two shinobi, on whose forehead bandages with the symbol of Uzumaki hung, but did not attach much importance to this. Apparently they thought they were crazy. Actually, this allowed the guys to walk around the village without any problems. As if sensing the strength that emanated from both, the Rain Shinobi shunned Naruto and Sasuke. The same now, and then cast cold glances at the tallest skyscraper in the settlement. Their target was there, surrounded by the chakra of 6 more people. Now the guys clearly realized that Karen was a member of Akatsuki, but Naruto did not back down. He didn't want to be one of the Uzumakis on the island owned by the Uzumakis at all. The blonde was determined to achieve his goal, and if it means changing the course of history and the timeline, which could lead to far worse consequences. Then the white-haired caught himself thinking that he was acting selfishly towards the rest of the shinobi of this world. Who knows what might have happened? The Uzukage stopped. Sasuke looked at him questioningly. What's happened? Changed your mind? He smiled slyly. There is no way we should kill any of the Akatsuki. Do you understand? He asked coldly, with steel in his voice, which made the Uchiha wince. Even if there is no other option, if there is no other option, we will turn around and leave. Joking with the course of history, and the timeline is fraught with danger. Who knows, maybe a much bigger evil will come instead of Akatsuki, or will peace and order be established in the world? His best friend smiled good-naturedly. Did you take note of this option? And if you die? I can't afford to let this happen. It was enough for me to lose my best friend once. Kurama's voice came from within the Uzumaki. Do what you think is right. But I'll warn you right away. We got popcorn, and we all sit in front of the TV, watching your journey. His girlfriend said good-naturedly. Naruto, we will always be there. You have changed us. Since the time of your father no one treated us with more respect than you. The words of the 9 tails cheered up the guy. He nodded gratefully. Who are you? Uchiha didn't understand at first, but for sure. You have a mess going on in your head. What's the mess? Well, there are all the tailed ones from your world. I can imagine how you feel with them. By the way, it's very good if they don't bite. And they bite all the time. How do you sleep at night? Naruto, of course, did not tell Sasuke that at night he and Kurama after that event began to hold horizontal dances every time. He just smiled tactfully and nodded towards the tower. Remember, don't kill any of them. Yes, I understand. I understand. The guys ran to the shelter, which was literally a few hundred meters away. Akatsuki. A criminal organization by the standards of the whole world. But is it really so? After all its members were deceived, betrayed and thrown out by their villages. And now they wanted to prevent them from establishing world peace. Karen thought so. And she fanatically wanted to kill anyone who stood in the way of the interests of the organization. Here and now, Akatsuki gathered in the building in order to resolve a couple of issues. Glad to see you again, Pain said with his usual coldness and steel. We have the issue of sealing on the agenda. Am I not the only one who felt the chakra of all the tailed beasts in that boy? Yes. And now this boy is coming straight towards us, Zetsu said. Leader Sama. What are we going to do? Nagato thought about it. On the one hand, He wanted to fight this impudent shinobi, but on the other hand, it would only be a sacrifice. And nothing more. The Uzumaki clan member thought for a moment. You need to leave and quickly. Until we are ready to repel his attack. Even the eyes of God are not enough for this. The rest of the Nukenin nodded silently. After the deaths of Deidara, Kisame and Sasori's betrayal, the apostates began to act more cautiously. Now there was a catastrophic lack of people in the group. What about the plan? Kakazu raised an eyebrow in surprise. The task of recruiting Uchiha Sasuke has not been cancelled yet. At the moment it is not possible to do this. As if realizing the situation, realizing his helplessness, Pain said, he is fanatically devoted to that boy. Leader Sama. Karen spoke up, I can feel their chakra. They are already in the building. Out of the entire organization, the girl had the most developed sensory skills than the rest. Fuck. Hidden cursed. We shouldn't run like some fucking cowards in front of this bastard. I will offer his sacrifice to my god. Take your time. Hidden, said Toby. So far he is stronger than us. For now. Leader Sama is right. We should retreat now. Until we have collected all the tailed ones, moving into battle is simply stupid. I can transport us with Kamui away from here. They want me. Karen muttered softly. Nukenins looked at the girl with puzzled looks. Where such confidence? With his usual indifference to everything that did not lead to money, asked the collector of hearts. Believe it or not, Kakazu senpai, but I can feel it in their chakra. Toby sighed softly. This can play into our hands. The leader of Akatsuki muttered thoughtfully, and turned to face the newcomer. Infiltrate their rear, and try to recruit the Uchiha. Yes, what the hell? Hidden roared. You want to leave her at the mercy of these motherfuckers. Do you know what they can do to her? They won't, Karen said confidently. They need me safe and sound. Well, finally muttered Pain. Take off your raincoat. I'm sorry, but we'll have to tweak your face a bit. Say you've been taken hostage. The girl obediently did what she was ordered. Hidden? Nagato looked at his comrade pleadingly. He swore savorily, cursing everyone present, approached the Uzumaki. Forgive me, suddenly said. It seemed merciless. Shinobi, nothing. Hidden senpai, hit. Another one. And further. And yet, a whole hail of blows. The face, and not only the face of Karen, turned into a mess. She was alive, but holding on. I held on for the sake of organization. For the sake of peace in the world. For her comrades. Jashin's attendant struck one last time, but Pain held his hand. Finished. We're leaving. Tabi, no longer pretending after the beating, activated his Sharingan, and carried everyone away from Pain's tower. At the same moment, a couple of Rain Shinobi ran into the hall, whose bodies immediately fell, dissected by katanas. The girl looked at them listlessly. Naruto, it's her, Sasuke said. It's definitely her. Kami, what have these scum done to you? Those words were the last words Karen heard before she passed out. Karen woke up already at the ward. Her whole body ached, hurt, asked to die. The girl began to vaguely recall the events of the past month. An order from Pain. Her eyes flashed with renewed vigor. The Uzumaki tried to stand up, but her legs seemed to give out. A pink-haired girl wearing the Uzushio protector entered the room. Are you awake? Sakura said in surprise that she received permission from Tsunade to become a Uzushigakur shinobi and train Irinen. If not for Uzukage-sama. A little more. And I could not save you. Where I am? Karen asked with a slightly weak smile. We're at the Uzushigakur hospital. Uzumaki's soul gurgled. She immediately found herself behind enemy lines. It remains only to figure out how to recruit Sasuke Uchiha, Uzumaki? Yes. In your home. The kunoichi smiled good-naturedly. Your body is still not ready for action. You will have to lie down here. Who did it? Hidden. Karen snarled in mock anger. I believed them. Everyone gets off track. Haruno approvingly put her hand on the girl's shoulder. You shalt be driven by this. Do you agree to become a Uzumaki shinobi, and bring peace to this land? The redhead shuddered. It was these words that Toby said to her, inviting the girl to join Akatsuki. And what is the understanding of the world in your opinion? Karen replied with a question. Well, Irianen smiled good-naturedly, scratching her head. This is a world where there will be no wars. But the achievement of this world must be through the world, no matter how tautological it may sound. The doctor examined the patient and wrote down something on a tablet. Rest. I'll be back in a couple of hours for an examination. The kunoichi was about to leave when Karen's voice stopped her. Wait. What's your name? Sakura. Sakura Haruno. Irene carefully closed the door behind her, leaving Karen alone with her thoughts. Naruto was sitting in the Uzukage's office looking through the various dossiers. Basically, they were Akatsuki members. During the 5 months of construction, the first island was fully equipped, and the second island began to be equipped, as more and more apostate shinobi from different villages arrived in Azashio every now and then. Sasori appeared before him. Uzukage. Naruto. The ninja remembered that he was very angry when his close comrades called him that. There is some information received from Itachi. Speak. Uzumaki looked up at Akasuna. No. In general, the guy stammered. Orochimaru and Kabuto are alive. Itachi is watching them right now with the ANBU squad. Surprisingly, the new Uzukage face showed no emotion. I guessed that this snake and its tail would survive. It was too easy for us to defeat them. And those cursed seals of his. The blonde smiled tiredly. One more thing. The two have rejoined the Akatsuki. Commentary on Naruto and the Rinnegan. Part 7. Yes. I barely wrote it. Such a question. Guys. Should I leave the harem, or take only one character for Naruto? How do you want? Naruto and Rinnegan. Part 8. What? Naruto asked softly. They joined the Akatsuki. Uzumaki rubbed his chin thoughtfully. Tell Itachi to keep watching the organization. Too bad they are active. Yes. Naruto. And you did what I asked? Yes. Come on. Show me. The Uzukage and the puppeteer were walking through the lanes of Azashio. A little less than 6 months ago, there was nothing here. Just a shadow of the once great village of Fuinjutsu masters.